In the version 2.7 story, we got access to a short trial of qiuyuan. This trial not only included his entire kit, but also his signature weapon, his sequences, and even his damage multipliers. And that got me thinking about how Phrolova might just be a absurdly broken character to a ridiculous degree, and I wanted to talk about that today. It's no secret that Phrolova is an incredibly good character. She is quite literally, by far, the best character in Whimpering Wastes, to the point where she can wheelchair a character even when the current WuWa is Havoc resistant. Like, I think no one has to tell you that Phrolova is by far the best character within Whimpering Wastes. You can put her on a free-to-play team, put her against Havoc-resistant characters, and make sure she doesn't have a single shield token, and yet, she's still gonna clear that easily. Even if you take away her signature weapon, she's most likely gonna be completely fine. Phrolova is just a ridiculously broken character within Whimpering Wastes. So yeah, no one needs to tell you that she's good there. But even within Tower of Adversity, it feels like she has attained consciousness and been subtly altering the game's code to make sure she will stay on top. Her biggest issue within Tower is that fights didn't last long enough, so her weaker first rotations would make it so that ultimately she wasn't gonna be clearing faster than the top dogs within Tower. So what does Kuro Games decide to do about this very understandable character flaw that makes her more balanced? They add more floors in a Tower of Adversity that take longer to clear and give you more time, meaning that Phrolova being a more backloaded character straight up doesn't matter. Excellent job, Kuro Games! What are we doing here? Why are we making this character better? Like, let's be completely real here. Phrolova did not need an upgrade, and yet here we are. She went from just being the Queen of Whimpering Wastes while still being incredibly powerful in Tower, to being the Queen of Whimpering Wastes and being one of the top tier characters within Tower. Like, what are we doing here? And all of this is still assuming her current team of Cantarella and Rocha, which, guess what, that's another thing that Phrolova does well. She doesn't need any specific supports, and can work just fine with 4-star characters. Donjin and Havoc Rover are some of her better teammates, with Rocha and Cantarella obviously being the premium options. This is not even a situation where she's using up popular supports, because Cantarella is played in literally not any other team, and then there's Rocha who is only played with Camellia, so she's not even taking up very popular characters. So you can rest assured knowing that your Cantarella and your Rocha aren't going anywhere. If you don't have the premium teammates, it's fine, she's still a good character. If you do have the premium teammates, no one is gonna steal them from her. So really, there is no negative here when it comes to Phrolova's team building. And that's just with Phrolova as a main DPS, because, oh trust me, she doesn't need to be. She already has synergy with main DPS characters, because she has an incredibly short rotation, incredibly high personal damage output that doesn't require buffing from other characters, and then she also just has buffing in her Ultra skill for heavy attacks. Sure, it's no Mortefi buff or Yuno buff, but what are we expecting here? Do we really think she needs that good of an Ultra skill? With all she currently has in her kit, she's already a good pair-up for Jian, a good pair-up for Phoebe, a good pair-up for Augusta. Like, honestly, this character just has so much versatility to her name. Not only does she have free-to-play teams as a DPS, and also more expensive teams as a DPS, she also just has teams where she's not a DPS at all. And even with characters that end up not doing primarily heavy attack damage and just having some of it in their kit, Phrolova is still a pretty good pair-up with them. Galbrenna with Phrolova is honestly a team that really surprised me when I played it. In fact, it's my favorite Galbrenna team to play. I acknowledge it's not the best one that currently exists, but it's my favorite, and that counts for something. Her only real weakness currently is that she loses a ton of damage from not having her signature weapon. And yeah, while this is WuWa, and this is a pretty consistent theme with WuWa characters, Phrolova takes it to a different extreme entirely. I'm pretty sure she's the most signature-reliant character in the entire game, even above characters like Brandt. So yeah, I guess that's one downside she does have. But considering the fact that 70% of Wuthering Waves players tend to pull for signature weapons on their characters, I can hardly call this a flaw of the character. Most people just aren't going to be interacting with this flaw whatsoever. So incredible team diversity literally dominates the meta of one of the two endgame game modes, while being incredibly powerful in the other one. It's really hard to justify skipping this character at a certain point, and when it's hard to justify skipping someone, that's when you become a little bit too good in my opinion. Because people are gonna start feeling bad when there's a Phrolova banner and they want to skip it. That's not good. I guess one thing you could say about Phrolova is that she doesn't have the highest performance in Tower of Adversity. Like, she definitely is up there, but she's not the absolute highest, because that role would go to Thundah. At least that's what I would be saying if it weren't for the fact that qiuyuan buffs her damage to a ridiculous extent. And when I say ridiculous, I mean ridiculous. Because I'm sorry, who invited 66% echo skill damage bonus as well as having 3 additional echo casts within your kit? Like, hello? That's not even what Phrolova was missing, that's just a bonus at this point. Phrolova was already a complete character, so why are we buffing her? She's already complete, she doesn't need it. Why are we giving her qiuyuan? I feel like when people read qiuyuan's kit, they're way, and I mean way too focused upon the synergy with Galbrenna. His kit does technically function better with Galbrenna than it does with Phrolova, because Phrolova isn't able to benefit from qiuyuan's outro skill. But here's my counter argument to that. Galbrenna has way better alternatives. Now, I'm not saying that Rochia is a bad character within the Phrolova team, just that she doesn't really do that much outside of her personal damage. Sure, she's buffing Cantarella, but who is really relying on the Cantarella damage in this team? Let's be completely honest here. Galbrenna has access to Mono Fusion, which is already an incredibly powerful core. So when we're really comparing qiuyuan versus the Mono Fusion team for Galbrenna, it's not going to be that big of a difference. But for Phrolova, it's massive! Phrolova is getting 66% damage bonus on her primary source of damage, which would be Hecate's attacks, which count as echo skill damage. So obviously 30% from qiuyuan's kit, 20% from his weapon, and 16% from the Law of Harmony set. She's also getting 30% crit damage, which, I mean, let's be real, Phrolova's already getting so much crit, I don't think she really needs it. But still, it's a nice bonus, you're not going to complain about it. And then there's also the fact that each one of qiuyuan's Forte heavy attacks counts as casting an echo skill, which gives you 3 additional echo skill casts within your rotation. And as every Phrolova player knows at this point, Hecate will do an enhanced attack whenever you cast an echo skill. And this sort of has like a queue system where it doesn't matter when you use the echo skill because the next attack is just going to be enhanced. It's more of like a counter of how many enhanced attacks Hecate has left, which means that the timing of the echo skills doesn't really matter. So qiuyuan doing 3 of them in a row still means you're going to get 3 enhanced attacks. And we're getting to a certain point where I don't think Hecate is gonna do any regular attacks anymore, guys. I think it's only gonna be enhanced attacks. And if it's only enhanced attacks, where do you really go from there? Phrolova's getting a ridiculous buff with qiuyuan that not enough people are talking about. I think this buff is honestly good enough to make Phrolova the de facto best DPS in the entire game, potentially even out-damaging Thundah within Tower of Adversity. That's kind of extreme in my opinion. She's already the best DPS in all of Whimpering Wastes. Why are we making her the best in Tower 2? It's just honestly insane what they're doing with this character. Phrolova is becoming a little bit too good. She can slow down enemies, so there's plenty of quality of life there. She can also group if it's an AoE scenario, which means even more quality of life. And I've already mentioned her ridiculous teammate flexibility, as well as the fact that she has an insanely short rotation. And what else do you want from a character? She's stupidly good. I think it's definitely not a stretch to say that Phrolova is just the best DPS in the game once qiuyuan comes out. There really isn't any flaw with this character anymore. And that's ridiculous praise. I can find a flaw in almost every character in the game. So when we're looking at Phrolova and I can't really find any anymore, that's when we start getting into ridiculous territory. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think of Phrolova down below. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Additionally, if you have any questions, you should join my Discord server, which is linked in the description. If you just want to see more of me, you can also check a different link in the description to check out my second channel. I rarely post on there, but when I do, it's kind of just what I feel like posting. But that'll be all from me. Peace.